as we passed along earlier. They are on the board now.
They're on the board,
Brian, and I think it's a valid question from Chief. Are they doing a bid here?
Yeah, dude. Because yesterday you could have easily done your long snapper deal yesterday, and then we wouldn't all be able to run with the fact that you were the one team in all of football that decided against making a single transaction yesterday. But they're like, no, we're going to hold off. We got this thing in the back pocket. We're going to let the calendar flip to March 12th, and then we'll punch this one in just so we can, I guess, get their laughs off. And it's pretty good.
It is. It's hilarious. They got to be like Gene and a Han and back slapping in there.
Yeah, they're going to love this. Watch. Long snapper re-signed.
These guys think they know football. We know what we need to do here. 903, Gavin, you sound like Jerry talking, pal. We had the easiest chance this year. And I know. And here's what happened is when the Rangers won the World Series, that was one of the rare times where I've been like, they have no chance. And then the Rangers won. So I'm trying to give myself an out here. Is it a 1% chance? Is it a 0.1% chance? I don't know, buddy, but I appreciate you listening to the show, and thank you for the interaction there out of the 903. What can the Cowboys do at running back now, guys? The news came down last night, said Cowboys Twitter ablaze again. They were in the mix for running back Zack Moss, but 4.5 was a little too rich for their blood. Was that fine with you when that came out, Chief? Is that still under your over your threshold?
Yeah, I mean that's one of those deals where I think we came with the numbers yesterday based on the current salary cap and the percentage of the cap that your running back can really be accounting for if you want to win a Super Bowl is like 2%. So with the cap being what it is, you're looking at a $5 million running back being about the top dollar that you'd be willing to go based on the track record of the last 12 or 13 Super Bowl champions and how they've allocated their resources to the position. So based on that, Zack Moss would qualify, but he's also like, is he worth that? I wouldn't necessarily say so. Like, I'm not upset that that's a deal that they passed on per se.
Yeah, I kind of got the feeling when we heard through Michael Gelkin's report, probably an agent talking to Michael and, kind of
doing a hell of a job, Mike.
Michael's doing a great job. And I just wondered when they got to 4, they had to step back. So I know that we had a Krusty's Corner where we spent about $3 million on a back.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're in the ballpark here.
Yeah.
We were starting to think, I know you guys were talking about Foreman and some others that potentially could be. This, on the draft show this morning, we went through all the college running backs, and it's a pretty nice class. Doesn't have the top of the round like last year was, but it's a pretty good group. If you could find a guy and then find the complementary piece that goes along with, I think it's doable here. So to hear that they were out of the Zack Moss at $4 million, okay, now I understand you got $3 million to spend on a running back, and here we go. And try and find one of those guys, and then turn around and address this with a guy that doesn't come off the field, pretty good pass protector, catches the ball well. And then if you pair him with another guy, he's going to be just fine running the ball. There's some guys you can make bell cow guys in this draft. I think Benson from Florida State is a bell cow guy. But if you're interested in Blake Corum from Michigan, I think you have to split him with a guy. So there's ways that they can go about addressing this, and they didn't have to spend $4 or $5 million on a guy.
And Foreman's still out there. There's other veterans that are out there. I just think of, when they moved on from DeMarco Murray, and after that, it was like McFadden and Randall, and I think they're going to try to go super budget like that again. I do genuinely believe that if you want to win big, you're at some point going to have to pay premium to get players that plug needs with difference-making guys, and you're like, wow, that's 30% more than we'd hope to spend at this position. But if you want to win it, you have to look honestly at your roster and say, wow, we got to make it a priority, and price be damned on what it's going to take to win the bidding for this position or that position. And they look at it from a business perspective where we have an idea of how much we want to spend, and $1 over that, we're just going to go take our money or our investment elsewhere. You can do that in business because there's always opportunities to put your capital into. But in sports, there's a very finite amount of players that can make you better each time around.
Yeah, I just don't think, you got to have your offensive line in place before you start throwing money around at your running back, So once you have the offensive line in place, then you can start talking about let's throw some assets at the running back position.
You could definitely see the first 3 picks going that way on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah,
but Derrick Henry, way too expensive, and again, just to reset that report,
all the backs are probably way too expensive
for sure.
8 to 10 still very much gettable. So congrats to those runners. Wouldn't it at least be fun to have Zeke back in the mix while you go through this rebuild? I don't know how much they want to spend. I don't know what Zeke's looking to get. Last year, it was clear he wanted to get paid, and Belichick wanted him so bad that he did eventually get paid for that 1 year. But if that deal doesn't happen, he might not have played last year. And, it was 3.5 yards per attempt, 3.8 the year before when Pollard was getting like 4.5. So, you know how we feel about him as a player, but I do feel like if you want to add a veteran back, he might make a lot of sense as long as you are going to draft a young guy, who could be more of an every down player. I think Zeke could be more like short yardage, and it's cool to have him here. I don't have big hopes for 2024, so I'm trying to get through of it with as much entertainment and familiar faces as possible, Brian.
The thing about it is you could bring Zeke in and pair him with one of these other backs.
Yeah.
And that would be fine.
Not Deuce Vaughn or Dowdle or Lipke.
No, the thing that Zeke is really good at is catches the ball well. He's good on blitz pickup. You kind of know what you're going to get down on the goal line or in the short yardage situations. So, yeah, he would be a pretty good complementary piece to maybe a back that has some explosiveness, to his game. And I think that's where, to me, I would be interested if the fact that they did bring Zeke back, because I kind of feel like that he does enough things that other backs don't do. I'm going to give you an example. There's a guy named Marshawn Lloyd as a running back for USC, and he's in this draft this year. And you talk about a guy that, he's only 5'9", he's 220 pounds, he's explosive, he catches the ball well, he runs hard, he can, he can finish anywhere on the field. You pair Zeke with somebody like that's an explosive player, I don't think that's a bad combination to go with.
We do need short yardage running. We need red zone scoring. I think Zeke could still do a little of that, as long as you're just asking short yardage and the goal isn't more than about 4 yards down the field. I think Zeke's like toughness and his shiftiness in the hole there could have some value for the right price. I'm just trying to come up with what's the best way to spend what I think is going to be under $3 million, and I do expect them to spend maybe as close to zero as possible for the rest of free agency. I have another interesting wrinkle on this story coming up, Chief. But what do you think, just in a vacuum, the idea of Zeke back with this football team?
I mean, I would be. I've moved on. I don't necessarily need that anymore. You're paying him. You still got like $6 million of dead money owed to Zeke on the books for this year. So I'd like to see something a little bit different. I think you're right. If you did have him, it's just for I need a yard. I need 2 yards. That's what he's got.
So we can't run the quarterback all year in these sneaks. It's just not a good idea. So
what do you pay for a guy like that? New England paid him $3 million last year. How low is Zeke willing to go? He's made plenty of money in his career. He doesn't need to do this anymore. So how much?
You want to play with your buddies?
Right. Yeah. How much? I don't know. Yeah. How much do you still want to do it? For me, this is much like I believe it happened with New England last year. This is right before the season. We feel like we need a guy who can give us a yard at a time, and so we'll pay the veteran minimum for it if you're down.
I love it. 903 just says Zeke. 817 bolster the line, draft a late round back. Yeah, I'd like middle rounds myself. I do think not all runners out of college are the same, so I do want a guy who has great speed and production and size. Just give me those 3 things, and we'll work with it.
Yeah, try and find a way to get it back in that second or third round.
Yeah,
that's where I would go with this with this particular draft.